when Marvel Comics announced they were returning to the Spider-Verse with Edge of Spider-Verse and Dan Slott was coming back, I thought, why would you waste this on Dan Slott? You know, obviously, you had the Miles Morales Spider-Verse movie. A lot of people liked it. Like, why would you want to end up destroying this universe? And then we had, I guess, the realization what this really is. It's Dan Slott taking the Spider-Verse stuff and bringing it into the Marvel 616 so he can start his own adjectiveless Spider-Man series coming out. Not exactly something I've been looking forward to, but I guess there are some people out there that really do enjoy Dan Slott's work. I don't get it, but I will acknowledge that it's out there. And just like many of you, I have recently seen the promotional images Marvel Comics are putting out for Sun-Spider, a character we have certainly seen in the Marvel Comics universe, but we hadn't seen the character really on their own. And now that we're getting a better perspective on who Charlotte Weber is and the idea behind the character, while I guess I could applaud the effort to get a disabled Spider-Man character into the Spider-Verse, it feels like they could have been just a tiniest bit more creative and thoughtful when it came to the character and their power sets and not doing something absolutely ridiculous, but not in a fun way, like in a stupid way. Dan Slott and the other writers associated with this project, I feel like at this point, are just mocking the fans. They are putting zero effort into these characters to do anything interesting with them. They're the most cookie cutter bullshit ideas that you could think of that would absolutely have a place like in modern times, like, ooh, let's make a new Spider-Man. Well, we need a Muslim Spider-Man. We need a disabled Spider-Man. We need a princess Spider-Man. And like the list goes on. And like many of you, I'm just sitting here really frustrated. I saw this image. I saw some of the other stuff coming out in Edge of Spider-Verse number 4, which we'll talk about here in a moment. And I decided, how bad is Edge of Spider-Verse really? We've had 2 issues. Perhaps this is just going to be like the bad issue and it's actually really good. Upon further review and going back and checking this out, this thing has actually been a joke since the very first issue, which was absolutely terrible. The second one, not quite as terrible. We'll get into that here in a moment. But let's talk about Edge of Spider-Verse number 4 and this character, Charlotte Weber. Very, very clever idea to name a Spider-Man character after Charlotte's Web. We see this character who is wheelchair bound, is a handicapped character, is flying around the city using their walking sticks essentially as their web shooters. Not only that, Charlotte Weber, Sun-Spider, has also webbed up apparently the wheelchair on her back. So when she gets to where she's going, she can pull out her wheelchair. So that's like what? Another 150 pounds of weight strapped to the back of this character who doesn't have the use of her legs, but is supposed to be flying around the city with the greatest of ease. Like, are you kidding me? Can we put some more thought into this character? If you want to create a disabled, spider-centric Spider-Verse character, I say go for it. But at the very minimum, can you use a couple of functioning brain cells and think about what this character is going to be? And the fact that not having her legs and trying to swing around is going to be very difficult. In fact, impossible. And then strapping another 150 pounds to her back is also going to make this version of Spider-Man, Sun-Spider, the disabled Spider-Man, absolutely unfunctional. I understand that there's an expectation going into comic books that you have to suspend belief to a degree. But this is a little bit overboard, and of course they do show the character a little bit later on, and of course she does have what appears to be a Pride-inspired dress. So we likely not only have a disabled Spider-Man character, we have another LGBTQ representative character within the Spider-Verse introduced within the last few years. That certainly doesn't make the character more interesting at this point. It makes them just kind of the status quo. If that wasn't enough to have alarm bells going off in your head that you shouldn't read this comic book because this character is going to be ridiculous, guess who's the writer's going to be? T. fucking Franklin. One of the 2 or 3 worst comic book writers in the entire world, of course, is going to work on this character because she also is disabled. Marvel Comics casting writers now based on their disabilities. It doesn't get more ridiculous than what DC and Marvel are doing in comic books these days, just as far as who they're hiring. Also coming out of Edge of Spider-Verse number 4, equally ridiculous, is the Spinstress. According to Marvel, Spinstress is a brand new spider princess who sings, talks to a spider, and kicks villainous butt. And the writers of the smash Broadway hit Come From Away are bringing her in for a landing. Well, I don't know about you guys, but I couldn't be more excited that they brought in a writer of a musical to write a comic book that's supposed to be action-based. I bet you this thing just fires on all cylinders, you know what I mean? And I don't imagine comic book fans worldwide were sitting there going, you know what we need in the Spider-Man universe? You know what spider character we need? We need a spider princess based on all the Disney princesses. That's what we're really missing in the Marvel Comics universe. And the fact that these 2 characters are going to be in like the 616 after this is over and Dan Slott kind of brings these creations over for his adjectiveless Spider-Man series is absolutely ridiculous, but it gets worse because we've actually had 2 issues of this so far. They have been embarrassing. I don't know why Dan Slott is credited as the writer of these comic books. He is writing in them, but he's writing like 4 pages each, at least in the first 2 issues. Perhaps he'll do the final issue and he'll do more of it because it'll bring this whole story with Madam Web recruiting Spider characters from around the Spider-Verse to get together and fight this big villain. Perhaps then Dan Slott will actually write the comic book. But up until this point, he ain't written much. Let's put it that way. And there haven't been very many great things come out of this. We did get a Scottish character named Spider-Lard. He's wearing a spider kilt, and Dan Slott, let's just put it this way, he does not have a good voice for Scottish people. This is pretty stupid, but it doesn't even come close to the worst things in Edge of Spider-Verse so far. The worst has to be the treatment of Araña, who was actually in the 616 already. This is the female Spanish version of Spider-Man. Normally, you would see this character in like a black outfit, like kind of black and gray. But apparently, she's gotten a new outfit for Madam Web, who brought in the best of the best. Listen to this internal monologue. This is how bad this thing is. I think this is Alex Segura writing with Martin Kokolo on art. Araña talking about her new Spider-Man costume. I don't know where Madam Web found Webweaver, but he knows a thing or two about killer outfits. The new duds are perfect. Part throwback, part trendsetter. All fun. I guess we all needed a reminder that Webweaver is the 2nd or 3rd gay version of Spider-Man within the Spider-Verse, and this one happens to be a seamstress at that. Unfortunately, moments like this, stupidity like this in this comic book is far more the norm than you would expect. I read both issues. There isn't really a standout story that stands out for quality. There are many standout stories just as far as how bad they are. None worse, in my opinion, than this Araña story. It continues because Delilah has taken over the Battle of the Bands. And she says, "It is time for you, my foolish drones, to experience the embrace of the sisterhood of the Wasp, to heed a higher calling." One of the stoners in the crowd says, "This isn't Metalhead. Was there another band?" "No clue, bro. I'm open-minded, though." Then Delilah says, "You can thank me. Who dares?" And then apparently Araña shoots her hands, because she's got these gauntlets on there and she's going to shoot people or something. But it looks like, based on the art, in my opinion, from what Martin Kokolo did, it looks like the webs have disintegrated her hands. They don't go out far enough. Maybe it's the angle. Maybe I'm seeing it wrong, but those arms do not look long enough if those hands have not been severed. So apparently this character might be going a little bit more brutal than she has in the past. I thought this panel absolutely stood out for all the wrong reasons. Just looks really ridiculous. We did get to meet Spyder X in this issue, which is a web-slinging Tyrannosaurus Rex that has the same color palette as Peter Parker's Spider-Man. I think his name is also Peter Parker. There's an extra letter or something stupid in there. Spyder X says, "Actually, Naranosaurman, I don't think this body is anything like yours. I'm stronger than you now. No more wimpy little Peter Parker to push around. This is amazing. I'm amazing. I can't wait to get back to the rest and tell Aunt May I'm the king of the dinosaurs." I thought this would be a high moment in the comic book. I thought this would be kind of fun and stupid. I mean, it's stupid, but it's not nearly as fun as you would have expected a web-slinging dinosaur based on Spider-Man to be. Maybe they should have stopped with the animals when they did Peter Parker. You know what I mean? That's a good character. This one absolutely falls flat. In the second issue, the character that really stands out is SpiderUK. I don't know who the writer is. His name is Ramsey. Apparently, he's a British comic book writer. And I feel like I'm being preached to about Ramadan and Muslim culture and stuff in here. And I get you probably could have done this in an interesting way, but pretty much the whole story revolves around SpiderUK fasting for Ramadan and how that's affecting her ability to stop this enormous dragon. Apparently, Ramsey has seen the movie Reign of Fire, which I've also seen, starring Christian Bale and Matthew McConaughey on a shitload of steroids. If you see that movie, that is the exact way that this dragon comes into this universe, which is really strange because in the movie that also happens in London. Could you have at least come up with something new and interesting? But he did plagiarize at least the beginning of Reign of Fire, except this dragon doesn't feed on ash. When this dragon sprays you with his fire or whatever, you actually turn into a human dragon or something like that. And that's what this character is fighting about. So basically, you're being told how great Ramadan is and what it's all about. Hey, listen, buddy, maybe not everybody's in the same boat I am, but I was in Afghanistan for a very long time. I was there during Ramadan. I remember what it is and what they were doing. Not everyone is as stupid as you think they are, Ramsey. And the dialogue in this is particularly terrible If I can get a sample back, maybe we can undo whatever changed them. Vintage leather jacket with extra dimensional pockets courtesy of who? Cool, huh? The chances of that could be very slim. Maybe, but we've got to at least try. Oh, was that supposed to be a roar? You sound like a bagpipe with tonsillitis. Put a sock in it. Dragon thwarted. Sorry, St. George, but the web is mightier than the sword. The more you struggle, the tighter it gets. I completely understand that doing like quippy, funny spider dialogue is actually a challenge. That's why very few people have done really, really good Spider-Man over the years. A lot of people have told good Spider-Man stories, but maybe their Peter Parker wasn't the best because the jokes just didn't really land. But few people are quite as bad as Ramsey with SpiderUK. I mean, I think it just speaks for itself. That thing was absolutely awful. So this thing has been a shit show from issue number 1. Number 4 is not going to be an exception when we finally see Sun-Spider on a solo adventure and the Spinstress, the Spider-Man princess that everybody was waiting for. I don't think anyone asked for any of this stuff. Like I said, they're just mocking and making fun of Spider-Man fans. Like, you're a loser for even thinking any of this was important. You're a dumbass for thinking the Spider-Verse was cool. We're going to take all the cool elements that you thought you liked about it, and we're going to give you the lamest shit, and we're going to shove it down your throats. And that's basically what they're doing here. I guess you can't really blame them because Spider-Man is kind of bulletproof. I'm sure this thing will sell some comic books, and I'm sure Dan Slott's adjectiveless Spider-Man will as well. But I think these absolutely suck. Dan Slott is probably best known for having the longest run ever on Amazing Spider-Man, which makes no sense whatsoever when you think about the creators on Spider-Man, like Amazing Spider-Man. Dan Slott is not like in the top 10 when it comes to talent, but he has the longest tenure. But the dude is an absolute joke. He's a moron. Disney Plus actually did a hit piece on the guy and Tom Brevoort, his lead editor, in their 616 documentary series. If you haven't seen this, Dan Slott is outed for his incompetence in this series. And if you're on a mobile device, there's a link in the video description if you want to check it out there as well.